I'm also grateful to all veterans who have served, as well as the men and women who serve our country right now, so that we can give our men and women in uniform all the tools that they need and treat them the best way possible.
Please, for me to understand.
Well, I was talking about how the leadership of this country caused 13 to get killed in Afghanistan, which I'm sure as a veteran that upsets you. They armed the Taliban. They now have training in the military that for woke training. Those are the things I was talking about. Forcing COVID-19.
That has nothing to do with my service. Here's the problem.
Sir, you can come out and argue with me, but I did not say that.
Disparaging things against the Jewish community are disrespecting the United States Congress, and you're ashamed.
It's one thing to witness Marge taken down a few pegs by her colleagues, or more often than not, by herself.
What it did to our children's math and reading levels is horrific. School closures brought them to the lowest levels in years. English 8th graders, math proficiency dropped by 7 points. Reading levels dropped by 2 points. There are 1,524 and 481. This is over 1 million.
But this video of her facing off with a veteran has gone viral, and after just a few seconds you can see why. QAnon Karen herself was doing the rounds speaking with her constituents. She was met with pushback from a veteran who was also her constituent who did not subscribe to her lunacy, and this veteran made no mistake in telling her why. I hope you don't mind my interjection on a few occasions just to provide evidence.
Please, for me to understand.
Well, I was talking about how the leadership of this country caused 13 to get killed in Afghanistan, which I'm sure as a veteran that upsets you. They armed the Taliban. They now have training in the military that for woke training. Those are the things I was talking about. Forcing COVID-19.
That has nothing to do with my service.
No, sir, I wasn't talking about your service. I was talking about today's military. Again, you've gotten that twisted, and I'm sorry that you believe that.
I heard what you said. I read the text.
No, sir, you didn't hear my full message.
Here's the problem.
Sir, you can come out and argue with me, but I did not say that.
Disparaging things against the Jewish community. You suggested a space laser.
And oddly, there are people who say they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light causing the fires.
Sir, I have not. No, sir, I have not.
You are disrespecting the United States Congress.
No, sir,
and you're ashamed.
Well, I would say calling for the execution of a fellow elected official would fall under disrespecting Congress.
Citizens and uphold our laws, and she gives aid and comfort to our enemies who illegally invade our land. That's what treason is. Exactly. And by our law, representatives and senators can be kicked out and no longer serve in our government. And it's a crime punishable by death, is what treason is. Nancy Pelosi is guilty of treason, and we want her out of our government. She's held her seat of power for 32 years. She's 78 years old. She is dying in Congress. We are fed up with these corrupt politicians that hang on to their power just to make themselves rich.
As well as enabling the big lie that led to an insurrection.
No, sir.
And I wish, I'm really horribly saddened that the 14th district has gone to such craziness. But hopefully we're going to make that correction. I just did my primary vote, and I look forward to maybe one of your challengers seeing you in a runoff.
Craziness is a polite way of putting it. It's tame for someone who thinks that Q is a patriot.
Following 4chan, Q, any of that stuff. Anybody? It's an anonymous person. All right, so Q is a patriot. We know that for sure.
9/11 was an inside job.
9/11, right? We had witnessed 9/11, the terrorist attack in New York, and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and the so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd. There's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon. But anyways, I'm not going to dive into the 9/11 conspiracy.
Q is trying to tell people
on these forums and 4chan, and he's trying to tell people the truth. And he does it through questions, asking questions, and giving clues. And so it's basically, you know, you're going down the rabbit hole. You're following the white rabbit and you're figuring it out.
Thinks that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a body double.
Yeah, like the body double for Hillary Clinton. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So
I do not believe that was Ruth. No. I don't think so.
And also, well, in fact, let's just run the tape. There are too many examples to count.
Censuring Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Whereas Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly fanned the flames of racism, anti-Semitism, hate speech against the LGBTQ community, Islamophobia, Asian hate, xenophobia, and other forms of hatred. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly debased the memories of thousands of victims of the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001 by perpetuating conspiracy theories to shift blame and responsibility for mass murder. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly assaulted the foundation of our democracy by perpetuating conspiracy theories related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, which sought to halt the peaceful transfer of power. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly called for violence against elected officials and their families.
Now, what separates this video from the usual takedowns of this garbage person is that it comes from someone who she claims to honor and respect, all while she tries to speak over him in between condescending remarks, which just perfectly exemplifies Republican views on the military. Lip service is as far as they go.
One of the things I really like is it gives military members a pay raise, a very good pay raise, for the first time in nearly 30 years. But I want to talk about the very purpose of the National Defense Authorization Act. And I want to explain the reason why right now I am a no vote. And I think everyone deserves an explanation.
They care not that their own extremism has weakened the very military they claim to honor, with Tuberville's actions holding up everything from promotions to paying service members. And here, when face to face with a veteran, Marge lies through her teeth. A self-declared patriot who once posted an image of the American flag upside down and called for a secession of states. You couldn't make it up.
If the Biden administration refuses to stop the invasion of cartel-led human and drug trafficking into our country, states should consider seceding from the union. That took place earlier in the day.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's call on social media for a national divorce, dividing the country up between Republican and Democratic states.
You know, I think Abraham Lincoln dealt with that kind of insanity. We're not going to divide the country. It's united we stand, divided we fall.
Well, I mean, look, her husband called for secession, which is why, you know, she had that in her personal life.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.